I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we meet and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Thank you very much for coming here today for this pituitary information session. I would first like to acknowledge our sponsors today, Ipsum and Brain Lab, who have sponsored the catering, St Vincent's Applied Medical Research, who have provided the venue, and Ipsum for allowing us to tape this session so we can reach more people. So my name is Malini Raj and I am from the board of the Australian Pituitary Foundation, and I have also two other board members here today, Lisa Sullivan and our co-chair Kim Statham. We are a non-for-profit organisation supporting patients and their families with pituitary conditions, established in 1994 by Lloyd Rover and Ron Waters. The strength of our foundation is the extensive collaboration with patients, health practitioners and our pharmaceutical sponsors. We focus on three key elements: support, information and advocacy. The foundation is involved in a number of activities, including supporting healthcare professionals, networking with endocrine support groups, lobbying government, providing a support network, arranging education activities like today and social activities, and promoting pituitary awareness. You can become a member. The benefits of the member include direct access to the board of the APF, attendance and voting rights at the AGM, and ability to influence and shape the direction of the Australian Pituitary Foundation. Our membership of the foundation is $50 per year. Or you can become a friend of the foundation. Patients, family members or healthcare providers are welcome. Being a friend of the foundation ensures the pituitary community has a bigger voice in ensuring access to gold standard of care for pituitary patients. You'll have regular updates regarding planned events, information and fact sheets, and it provides the opportunities to share your pituitary journey with others and support others who understand what you're going through. Or you can donate, so every little bit counts, regularly or one-off, and the more funds we have, the more we can do to have patient seminars and provide resources and tools to help you in your journey. So how did I get to the foundation? Well, as you saw in the video, it was 460,800 minutes, or 157,680 hours, 6,570 days, 938 weeks, 216 months, or in other words, 18 years since I got diagnosed. So it took that long for me to get diagnosed with my pituitary condition. And for as long as I can remember, I had been unwell up until recently. Sometimes when people ask you what your earliest memory was, it was always sitting in a doctor's surgery. I can't remember a week where I wasn't in a doctor's surgery getting some sort of test. So I think I have been to every ologist under the sun, so gastroenterologist, immunologist, hematologist, gynecologist, endocrinologist, cardiologist, ENT specialist, psychologist, as well as countless practitioners and allied health professionals. With that came countless tests, and I shudder to think how much blood has been taken. I've had CT scans, MRIs, X-rays, biopsies, bone scans, colonoscopies, endoscopies, pill cams, laparoscopies, ultrasounds, precocious sinus sampling, glucose tolerance tests, and the list goes on. I'm very familiar with white hospital gowns, waiting in emergency rooms and uncomfortable hospital beds. So with every ologist came a potential diagnosis. So I've been diagnosed with polycystic ovaries, potential celiac, Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, irritable bowel, insulin resistance, endometriosis, appendicitis, and with each diagnosis came a rollercoaster journey. With each was a relief that I might have something that they can treat and hopefully feel normal. And although I had forgotten what normal was, I'd spent so much money on treatments, medications and appointments. It was just a perpetual revolving door of appointments. And the doctors were baffled to the point that they thought I was a hypochondriac. I think even my parents thought that. I see some nodding heads there. So anyway, in 2011, I had to do a medical for my insurance and I failed it due to high white cell count. So the blood test showed high white cell count, and then the fact that I had been bruising, and the GP I went to before I could sit down, she says, we need to send you to a haematologist. We think you've got leukemia. So, stress. So I went to see the haematologist, but by chance she had a brother who was an endocrinologist and so was familiar with hormone-related conditions. So she took one look at me, the symptoms of a moon face, thin skin, weight gain around my stomach, and some markers in my blood, and she had a light bulb moment and said, "Have you been told about Cushing's disease?" and proceeded to organise some tests for the condition. Meanwhile, I went to Dr. Google and Googled what it meant. And I received a call a few days later saying, "I think we have finally found an answer. I think we are onto something." She then referred me urgently to an endocrinologist and a neurosurgeon who ordered an MRI scan and other tests to confirm the diagnosis. So as you all may or may not know, the first line of treatment for this condition is transsphenoidal surgery to remove the tumour. Even though it was a scary prospect, in a weird way, I was excited that I finally had a diagnosis and finally had something with a name. I know it sounds crazy, but the night before my brain surgery, I was actually very excited to potentially relieve the symptoms. So that was the first experience in hospital, and it wasn't the smoothest experience. It was made harder in that I didn't have anyone to talk to who had been through the experience. I didn't have anyone who understood. The initial pathology test came back to say that the tissue that they had removed was an ACTH secreting tumour, and I was so happy as I thought I may be cured. But no such luck. I went to my follow-up appointment, and my endocrinologist and follow-up blood tests a month post-surgery showed that the cortisol levels hadn't reduced, and as would be expected, and so indicating that there must be some ACTH left and they hadn't got all the tumour. And so I felt like I was back to square one. So the options that were given to me were more surgery to take out my whole pituitary gland or my adrenal glands. This was the first time it got too much emotionally, and as I thought that the journey was potentially finally over, but it continued. And due to my experiences not having the best experience of my first surgery, I was not keen for more. So my doctor at the time was pushing for surgery, so I changed doctors who was more focused on medical treatments. And long story short, I tried one medication that worked for a while. Then I tried another medication which I received on compassionate grounds, but that subsequently gave me diabetes, a known side effect which I was aware of. And then I had the cycle of the comorbidities, which included diabetes, high blood pressure, osteopenia, cholesterol, thin skin, hair falling out, weight gain, and so it just went on. Monthly blood tests and having 7 injections a day. So as a patient of a rare disease, as you all know, we often don't feel heard. We are forced to do our own research and become experts in our own condition and take control of our own destiny. The journey to diagnosis is very long, and that is because the symptoms mask as other things. Doctors have to be familiar with a lot of diseases, so it's not their fault that they often have made me misdiagnosed or go down the path of a more common diagnosis. So everyone's journey is different. So some of you are just starting, some of you have been living with this condition for a long time, but my point in telling you this is not to alarm you, but more to say that this experience made me a strong advocate for my own health and treatment and actively seeking out support. So going through this journey and having some time to reflect, it took a major toll on me physically and emotionally. I wish I had had a diagnosis earlier. I wish there was more awareness and support of the disease and more information. My family wished they could support me as they told me they felt helpless. So I felt I wanted to do something that could make the lives of others embarking involuntarily on this journey a little easier. So I was also at a stage looking for ways I could contribute to a board or a committee. So I did a Google search and came across the foundation. And as fate would have it, they were looking for directors at a time. So I joined the foundation, became chair for a while, and through this involvement I also got involved in the World Alliance of Pituitary Organisations, which advocates for more pituitary awareness globally. So since being involved in the Australian Pituitary Foundation, I really wish I had been involved when I had been diagnosed initially. Everyone's experience is different, but I felt I would have been better prepared. It had provided me with the resources, tools, information, and more detail on my condition, and the recognition that many of my symptoms were normal, rather than feeling that I did not have a right to feel the way I was feeling physically and emotionally. So also talking to other patients and families, forming a network to understand people who can relate to me, as it's like anything. No one can truly understand the day-to-day challenges. No one really understands the headaches, the symptoms, the emotional rollercoaster, unless you have been through it. So an update on me. It was through the foundation that I got in contact with my dream team, as I call it, Dr. McCormack, Dr. Harvey and Dr. Winder, as they were heavily involved in the foundation, and I had interacted with them or heard them speak, and they all had tremendous reputations. So I sought a second opinion from them, and they collectively reviewed my case at my multidisciplinary team meeting, and I had my second surgery in December last year. And they found the culprit tumour. My cortisol plummeted post-surgery, and I am no longer on medication, no longer have diabetes, and as of yesterday, potentially no longer Cushing's. So as everyone's journey is different, the treatment and approaches will never be the same, but I can honestly say that without being involved in the foundation and without keeping myself involved and supported through the information, questions and taking control, I would not have got to the outcome I am lucky enough to be in today. And I was definitely less daunted the second time around. So I knew what I was in for, and I had people to ask and what to expect. So it seems that we did a rebrand of our foundation in 2018, and our logo is a dandelion, which is a symbol of hope, and that is exactly what the foundation was for me. So on that note, I would like to